our freedoms.
Well,
that's BS.
They hate the Western work with. I want to answer one.
No, fantastic that Joy Reid did this. It's a clinic, okay? She's brilliant. She's smart. She's concise. And she cuts away at the white old men that are so clearly too, so openly racist. Like they're wearing it on their sleeves, dude. This is the thing that I hate the most. But before we get to that, I will say one thing. There's a person who I want to squash the beef with. Her name is Joy Reid. Okay? Speaking of black people's business, or speaking of cynical weaponizations of identity politics from the utilization of standpoint theory as a black, using that at every opportunity to dagger the campaign of a radical candidate like Bernie Sanders. Joy Reid, the beef is squashed. I mean, it's been squashed because she's been an incredible voice, surprisingly enough. Long gone are the days where Joy Reid would bring forth a body language expert to try and find ways of attacking Bernard Sanders. Because remember what that one chatter I was yelling at about, like, well, black people ain't rocking with this person. We're not rocking with them if they're not rocking with us. You only talk about black people when it comes to voting or whatever, right? Like all that shit, all of that cynical ass, bullshit ass, brain broken, wrecker behavior ass nonsense was demonstrated by Joy Reid time and time again. Whenever Bernie Sanders was seemingly doing well, MSNBC would bring her out like a mercenary to be like, Bernie Sanders is a Klansman. Bernie Sanders literally is at the Klans rally. Bernie Sanders is killing black children if possible. She doesn't do that anymore. She absolutely, seemingly in the last couple of years, especially after the Gaza, after the in Gaza, has started defending Palestinian emancipation, and I think her perspective and the way she sees the world has even changed. Okay, you at least concede Bernie Bros. Discord bots, stop pissing me off. Now I'm gonna show you something that apparently was cut from the final release of this video on CNN's YouTube page, but it was seen on television last night. An accurate reflection of historical events as it pertains to a foreign adversary nation and why said foreign adversary nation has such enmity towards the United States of America. This is unheard of on mainstream news. Let's take a look.
It's an important role in the world. I am thrilled that the United States is trying to police the proliferation of nuclear weapons. Imagine what the world would look like if it was otherwise. And I think
the reason why, by the way, I hyped up like my former quote unquote fake beef with Joy Reid is because I want you to experience the whiplash now with what she does here. Okay.
I will say that the United States would still be the only country that has ever bombed another country with nuclear weapons. And let me ask you one question. Why did...
One says the United States is the only country that's bombed another country with nuclear weapons. Correct.
The Iran hostage crisis take place?
Setting up for an incredible opportunity here says, why do you think the Iranian hostage crisis took place?
So certainly,
I'm asking you why.
Fundamentalist radicals took over the government who
why?
hate the West.
Why did they take over the government? Why?
Because they're religious jihadis who want to eliminate Western society.
This guy looks too much like a pedophile. I'm sorry. He can't be on the... You got to get this guy off the ticket. You got to get him off the table. It freaks me out every time I see this. I swear to God. He has such vibes, bro. I'm sorry. I said this last night. He's also insanely, he's taken over the mantle from Scott Jennings, who I guess came back from his sucking festival at Tel Aviv when he was stuck in a bomb shelter on his knees. The psychopathic, rabid evangelical Zionist Scott Jennings. That's who he's filling in for. Hold on.
They hate our way of life. They hate our way of life.
Or they overthrew the Shah of Iran, who we imposed on Iran because the Dulles brothers, one at the CIA and one at the State Department, decided that the oil beneath the soil of Iran belonged to BP and belonged to us. And when Mossadegh, who was the leader of Iran, the democratically elected leader of Iran, said that we would like to audit BP because we want to know if you are cheating us or paying the people of Iran based on the oil under their soil. And they said, you may not audit us. And then we overthrew him and he wound up dying in prison because we decided that we, in our arrogance as a country, got to own their oil.
So that
and wait a
justifies
minute,
the
no,
taking of the
one moment. And so the hatred of the United States had to do with the hatred of the Shah, who brutally repressed the people of Iran for 26 years until he was overthrown within Iran because he was not their natural king. They didn't want a king any more than we wanted a king. The bottom line is the arrogance of the United States' foreign policy. We act as if people act in a vacuum, and that nothing we do.
I love her. I have so much respect for her now. I have so much respect for her now. And there's another thing that I'm going to show you in a second. Many of you probably know, because she used to be on MSNBC. Like I said, was a MSNBC contributor, like a mercenary that they would bring out to talk about how Bernie Sanders was radical, scary, misogynistic, anti-black. I think Gaza truly changed her worldview. Maybe she always knew this stuff, and maybe she chose not to talk about it. I never heard. Okay, I never heard her perspective, at least like offering historic clarity. Okay, but she had her own show at MSNBC. She does not anymore. And we'll talk about it in a second. But what she just described here in a matter of 2 minutes is accurate history that specifically details why there is so much enmity towards the United States of America in places like Iran. It showcases imperial arrogance, and it just is an accurate assessment of historical events, an accurate retelling of historical events. When is the last time you've heard something like this on national television? When is the last time anyone, any anchor, any contributor, any commentator has done this super fast deep dive on an issue like this, instead of just taking the route that the looking dipshit took and being like, well, because they're jihadis. They're jihadi camel drivers. They hate us because they ain't us. Never. This goes back to what I say. The people are not stupid. They are purposely kept stupid. I guess I shouldn't speak on this too much because I do believe that because mainstream television refuses to show this perspective, which is just history, by the way. It's not even like a biased framework. It's just history. Because mainstream media will take actually brilliant people like Mark Lamont Hill, and I'm certain many of these other commentators are not oblivious to this reality, but they're just like, they purposely silence themselves, engage in an act of self-censorship, as Noam Chomsky points to, in an effort to preserve their careers, in an effort to constantly go up the career ladder, that they keep the American population stupid. But like I said, it's beneficial for someone like myself. This is precisely the reason why I have the community that I have now. I have the audience that I have now, because I don't worry about these sorts of career ambitions. I am able to remain independent due to the contributions of people like yourself. The Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by you, the viewers. And for you, the viewers, the Piker Broadcasting Service is ad-free at all points. You can support the Piker Broadcasting Service by subscribing, either for $6 or for free with the Twitch Prime. By connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, you get one free Prime subscription a month. Thank you.
Has ever led to the hatred of us in other countries. And I'm not saying that hostages should be taken, but you just said because they hate our freedoms. Well, that's BS.
No, they hate the Western workplace. I want to answer
No, fantastic that Joy Reid did this. Is a clinic, okay? She's brilliant. She's smart. She's concise. And she cuts away at the white old men that are so clearly too, so openly racist. Like they have They're wearing it on their sleeves, dude. This is the thing that I hate the most. Like, it's not just the racism in and of itself. It's not the Islamophobia in and of itself, but it's also like the shameless way in which so many people are openly advocating for these sorts of things, like with knowing full well that there are no repercussions and maybe even a positive contribution to your career. Annoying, dude. I hate that shit. This is also why intersectionality is important. This is also why this kind of struggle is always universal. And this is why solidarity is important. Because while I am not black, and I will never understand what it's like to be a black person in the United States of America, my name is still Hasan. And trust me, I certainly know what it's like when someone just undermines your entire worldview, your humanity, so easily with one statement. I know exactly what it's like when you know that you're on the right side of this argument. You know that you're a person, you know that you're a human, but you know how other people are going to respond to what that person is saying. You know that other people are also going to feel the exact same way. That constant threat, that constant glooming presence of bigotry is always there. I know what it's like. Okay? I know what it's like when someone comes up to you and undermines your worldview, and it's not immediately seen by other people. It's not immediately seen as a negative by other people around you. Okay? I know. I can empathize. White Muslim man named Hasan that's American. I mean, it's true. That is, all of this is true. I'm a white dude. I'm white. I always say I'm white. I look white. I sound white. Okay? And if I had said my name is Hank and never talked about my background, I'm pretty sure most people would probably, recognize me as white. I am, because I am white. Having said that, this is the one issue out of all of the issues I talk about, the one issue where people immediately discount my perspective and say, oh, you're biased. You're biased. You're Islamist fundamentalist. And there's a difference between saying that about like a white guy versus saying that about a guy named Hasan. There's a difference between saying that to, for example, there's a difference between saying Noah Culwin or Felix Biederman is anti-Semitic and loves Islamist terrorism versus saying that about someone like myself or someone like Zoran. Okay? You won't be able to understand how hard it hits. Just like there's a difference between someone talking about how I'm just hot and that's the only reason why people listen to me versus saying that about a woman, okay? A female political commentator. Objectification works differently against women, okay? Islamophobia and terror jacketing works differently when you are Muslim. But ultimately, the way that people experience bigotry is still the same. White supremacy will make you whatever you need to be to serve its own purposes, white people included. That's why it's so insidious, for sure. I don't know if I'm able to like correctly communicate this feeling that I feel like closely resembles bigotry, like experiencing bigotry. It's the knowledge that not only this person in front of you is like undermining your humanity, but it's the knowledge that other people, onlookers, also agree with that person. Even though you know that person is wrong, you can't really do anything about it because everyone around is also in agreement with that person. That's what it feels like when you are going up against someone who is it's an incredibly annoying moment. And there's nothing you can do about it. You just have to sit there and eat it, because if you respond and say, actually, this is Islamophobia, or you respond and say, actually, you're exhibiting anti-black behavior, then all the other people are going to turn around and go, oh, dude, whoa, here we go again with the woke shit. All of those other people are going to join in because they also have a crumb of that feeling inside of them. They also exhibit some of that resentment. They also exhibit some of that bigotry. So then they're going to feel like they're under attack. And then now you're all alone, surrounded by people who are yelling at you, even though you're right and they're wrong. It's like constantly being in a state where you're surrounded by people who are hallucinating and you're the only sane person. That's what it feels like to me. And I assume that if you are a black person, if you're a Latino person and you experience this, or if you're a woman and you experience misogyny, and you try to communicate that personal experience, I suspect that's what it feels like as well. This is why I say intersectionality is important. This is why I try to understand what other people are going through from my own personal experiences to a certain degree. Yeah, it's the the pee in the pool meme. It's like you're sitting in the middle, you haven't peed in the pool, but everyone around you has peed in the pool, and they're pointing at you and laughing for being the only person who's not peeing in the pool. Got to speak to your POC friends about this when they come on next time. It would be enlightening for many. Ironically enough, this is what FD Signifier talked about when he did this video. Did he ever release that video? The Spicy Whites video that he did? But he's like brought this up when he was on stream as well about how I'm considered spicy white for this reason, because there is like a level of marginalization that oh, it's only on Nebula. Okay, there's a level of marginalization that undermines my worldview, undermines my perspective, no matter what, and that other people that are not a part of that is instantly biased. When people see my name, they are way more likely to fucking jump on this. And this is not a woe is me type situation either, by the way. I'm a profoundly privileged fucking person. I don't normally talk about this. It doesn't impact my life all that significantly. I don't even care to think about it. I don't even care to address it because it's not something that I can fix, okay? Having said that, there are plenty of people that if my name was, you know, Jonathan I don't know, fucking Hamburg, okay? If my name was Jonathan Hamburg, and I was saying these sorts of things, and I was a fucking white, born and bred Kentucky boy, and I said these sorts of things, the exact same things that I'm saying about fucking foreign policy and whatnot, a lot more people would be open-minded. A lot more Americans would look at me and go, oh, I want to hear what he has to say. I know this because there are plenty of issues that I talk on where I have a fuck ton of privilege, and I can use that privilege for good. If I talk about trans issues, for example, being a cis white dude, okay, people are more likely to listen to me than a trans person. That's just the reality. A transphobic person is more likely to listen to what I have to say about this issue than a trans person, okay? When I talk about anti-blackness or police brutality, people are more likely to, people who exhibit these biases are more likely to listen to me, a white guy, than they are to a black person. As a straight white male, when I talk about misogyny, when I talk about patriarchal issues, people who also have that kind of bigotry are more likely to listen to me than they are a woman. This is, however, the one issue where I speak out and people immediately go, yeah, you're just an Islamist, I think. You're an Islamist fundamentalist, you know? Kind of strange take to have after screaming at black chatter about standpoint theory. Not saying you have to like or agree with their reviews, but it seems like it could be more productive to try and understand how they arrived at their worldview due to their own experience. It's because I already know how they arrived at their worldview due to their own experience. My own personal experience that I just reflected on is a demonstration of how I empathize with other people's fucking framework, even if I'm not black, for example, which is precisely the reason why when someone is a fucking long-term community member, they come in here and act like I'm operating on some kind of fucking anti-blackness. It's idiotic, especially when I'm in the midst of talking about something entirely separate. It's wrecker behavior. The reason why I'm actually explaining this part is because I'm addressing the previous back and forth that took place. As the whitest guy ever, I still got called a terrorist when I wear a keffiyeh. I can only imagine how insane it gets. Yeah, there's a difference though. Because you're white, when you wear the keffiyeh and someone calls you a terrorist, it doesn't hit the same, is my point. It doesn't hit the same. It's the difference between calling a gay person the F slur versus a straight person the F slur. It's still fucked up, but there is an additional level of dehumanization that plays into it, is my point. And the reason why there's a different level of dehumanization that takes place is because other people, but Hasan, you got to remember that the majority of people you read in chat who say they're black and give these lazy ass takes against you are a tiny ass cohort of people that aren't representative of the rest of us. There are many black people in here that finally feel heard until a different black chatter shatters that moment for us too. Our suffering is shared. Yeah, no, I know. I just get annoyed when people do this kind of bullshit standpoint theory exclusively to engage in wrecker behavior. That was what I was. I know it's not reflective of all black people in the chat, obviously. All right. But getting back to what I was talking about with respect to Brianna Joy Gray, who made this assessment about Joy Reid and why she was fucking fired from MSNBC. She had a show, by the way, chat. She had a whole ass show. She wasn't just a contributor.
I think the other piece is Gaza. And you just can't get away from the fact that talking about Gaza in a way that humanizes Palestinians is not the usual way that cable news operates or that any news in this country operates. For whatever reason, that topic makes people uncomfortable. And it doesn't make regular folks uncomfortable, because I think the majority of Americans agree that what's happening there is not just a genocide, but is unconscionable for us to participate in. I think most Americans believe that, agree with that. But there's a discomfort with that topic that I saw in the policing of my social media, in requests to not like certain things on social media. There was a sense that topic, it makes people uncomfortable.
Saying you want to see innocent men, women, and children not be killed shouldn't make anybody uncomfortable.
It shouldn't. It didn't with Rwanda. When the Hutu and the Tutsi were slaughtering each other, we very easily in the media said that was a genocide, right? I mean, if you look at what Russia is doing to Ukraine, when they bomb a school or a hospital or a music school, that is reported as barbaric. It's reported as genocidal. When they're stealing Ukrainian children and kidnapping them to Russia, there's moral clarity from the media, and there's no hesitation to say that what Russia is doing is evil. But when it comes to what's happening to the people in Gaza, number one, it isn't talked about that much on U.S. media. If you go overseas, it's on a lot more. And then number two, the way it's spoken about is, I don't know, maybe it's like when a friend is doing something wrong, you don't want to talk about them, you don't want to say anything negative, but there is a hesitation. I definitely think that's a thing in American media.
Yup. Mike Lawler, I call on Kathy Hochul.